Hello, my name is Randy Cantu, and today I'm going to be talking with my friend Inez Gutierrez, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what she does as a faith-based counselor in her church and how she works with the people in her community. Inez, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Perfect. If you don't mind, we're going to go ahead and get started. I got some questions here for you,
Okay.
and maybe you can just go ahead and answer these, and if we need further clarification, I'll go ahead and ask you to clarify. But Christian faith-based counseling and mentorship. Um, Tell me about your role as a faith-based counselor.
Well, my title is a Christian counselor at my church here in Phelan, California. And basically, I provide counseling for those that want healing from trauma or any type of addiction.
And who would be a recipient of your mentorship and counseling services?
I mostly counsel women. I can also do couples. Men counsel with men, and I can also counsel children.
Now, is there a particular reason why men counsel with men and women counsel with women and children?
I would say more because it's a comfort and boundaries. I don't want to, excuse me, I don't want to be alone with a man, especially in a closed office. If we do counsel a man, I would either ask my spouse to be there with me or maybe one of my counseling partners to be there, just for safety reasons and just comfort and boundaries most of all.
And when you counsel or mentor children in that type of setting, are you generally doing this with you and the child alone, or is it with you and a child and their parent or guardian?
The first appointment, we actually have the parent sit with the child. Unfortunately, with past experience, we have children that have been sexually abused or going through bullying or any, other things. And we first ask the child if it's okay if their mother or father stays. And I've had an instance where a child said, "No, I'm not going to talk unless my mom's here." So mom would give us verbal and written consent to be alone with the child. But we would make sure that we have the windows open and, the door would be closed, but there would be light to see in. If anybody were to walk by, they could see what's going on.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're trying to be just transparent in what you're doing, but also at the same time have a certain level of privacy.
And be very careful, of course, yes, because, nowadays you can't really be alone with a child, especially as an adult, but we need to get written consent for that.
And can you tell me more specifically about some of the issues that you offer help with?
So I mainly focus on my past experiences. For example, I've gone through sexual abuse and domestic violence in the past. So a lot of the women that I counsel have been abused in the past as well. So with children, because I was sexually abused as a child, sometimes I do deal with sexual abuse with children as well, or living in a domestic violence home, basically. But that's mainly my focus because I'm able to share what happened to me and my, and how I dealt with it and the help that I seeked. And that's basically what I share with them. Because when you counsel, especially as a Christian counselor, you're listening, we're sharing experiences, and I'm sharing what I did to help my healing. We don't tell them what to do. We can ask them questions and figure out exactly what is troubling them, what are the things that they're going through, and how we can help as an example on how we survived that trauma or that home that was filled with domestic violence.
Gotcha. Now, is this faith-based counseling an ongoing treatment based on multiple sessions? Or do you counsel in a way that might require only a single session?
It's funny that you say that. I actually had one woman that came in and same thing. She said what I said when I had my first counseling session. I feel like I'm going crazy. I don't know what to do. I can't get along with anyone. I'm waking up angry every day. And I shared my own personal experience with her, and I said, I did the same thing, and then I sought counseling, and I just figured out what my triggers were and what was making me angry and why was I waking up angry. And I shared an experience that I had, And it just clicked. And she was like, thank you. Now it makes sense. And it was just based on an experience that I had in the past. And she never came back again. She started texting me and saying, I feel amazing. I woke up happy today. It was like a miracle. It was just like, wow, okay, this really happens. And I've had others where I've seen them for over a year. So it just really depends on the person. It really depends if they open up their heart. And when we do Christian counseling, there's a lot of prayer involved. There's a lot of making sure that they do go to church, their fellowship, making sure they go to women's groups, and not just coming to this counseling. We also invite them to do secular counseling, so they don't actually just have to do this. We always tell them, do as much as you can. Get help everywhere. And that's something that I shared, with my experience. I said, I thought I was going crazy. I did all kinds of counseling. I mean, I even did hypnotherapy, which in Christian counseling, that's a big no-no. But I tried everything because I thought I was going insane. So I share that experience, and, it depends how people really take that. Some people just want to talk to me. They don't want to say anything to anyone. Maybe because they trust me because I'm from the church and I'm a church member. And there's some others that really open up and they start looking for help everywhere else. But yeah, so it really depends on the person and how they're willing to actually do something about their trauma and their, recovery.
It seems like you get pretty in depth with your client. Do we call them clients?
I call them clients, yeah.
Okay. And by getting involved and being so in depth with their lives and things that might bother them, and where they have some troubles in their lives, what qualifications do you have to be able to help and kind of guide them through whatever troubles them?
Right. So I'm an ordained chaplain, and I did take some training with the church to be a spiritual counselor, and it's basically pastoral counseling. One other thing too is that I'm not able to prescribe medication. It's not a clinical setting. It's just sharing our experiences and providing other resources.
So is that kind of more of a personal fellowship?
I would say it's like a prayer session and sharing the Word of God. We have the Bible open in the session, but not every client is a Christian. I've had Catholics. I've had people that come in that don't believe in God, and they specifically tell us like, hey, it says here Christian counseling, but I don't believe in it. I don't want to talk about it. So what I do is I don't pray. I don't mention God. I don't mention Bible verses. I don't say God bless you. I just completely take that away, and I do exactly the same thing. I still share my experiences, and it's been a great success, actually.
It's funny you mentioned that, because that kind of leads me to my next question. About when offering counseling services, do you draw from personal experience or biblical teachings?
It's both. A lot of my experience, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise. I'm open about it now, and I talk about it now, and I say, look, I've been sexually abused since I was a little kid. I grew up in a home where there was a lot of domestic violence. There was drugs. I had a lot of abandonment. Dad wasn't there. Mom wasn't there. And when I share my personal experiences, the women are like, I'm not alone. You get it. Oh my gosh. And that's when they really open up and say, okay, this is what I went through. This is what I'm going through. And then they just open up, and it just helps so much. And then as far as the biblical part of it, the Christian guide that we use in our counseling has a lot of Bible verses. So they're able to go to church on Sunday, and whatever they learn in the sermon, we talk about it during the session as well. Oh my gosh, Pastor talked about this. He was talking to me. God was speaking through him. And we share, what was shared there. And then we have Bible verses on our Christian guide. So it's just like a big Christian session, I guess you can say, that it just all ties in together, especially when the person is Christian. Obviously, it's a little easier. But yeah, it comes from both.
Now, you mentioned a guide. Can you share with us at least a guide or the guide, or maybe clarify?
Yeah, I actually brought it with me so you can see it. It's called The Christian Recovery Guide, a 12-step workbook. It's by Dr. Robert and Annalisa Grant. And they're actually both ordained chaplains as well. And Robert Grant went to Liberty University and all that stuff. But this is a guide that we use, and it is absolutely amazing. And not only just throws a bunch of Bible verses, because as soon as someone sees Christian, they're like, not for me. It has a lot of very helpful information about emotional intelligence, traumas, trauma bonds, codependency, psychiatric medication, all kinds of stuff in here. And this is what we use, and this is basically my guide. And I actually use this guide for myself, which helped me with my healing as well. So, and that's what kind of made me a counselor, and I was able to be very successful at it because I used it for myself. So,
now, is there anything in that book that maybe you can share with me to kind of give me an idea of what what the book entails and maybe some of the instruction?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I have something here I really wanted to share with you. One of the things that I like to start with, and maybe I can have a little practice with you, just so you have an idea of what it's like. So when my client comes in, I give them a list of these emotions. And as you can see,
just for the camera's sake,
yeah,
maybe you can clarify.
So basically it says instructions: utilize all the emotion words below to determine what you are feeling right now. So I'm going to show you a list, and I just want you to give me 3. What are you feeling right now?
Wow, that's
long list.
That's a long list.
Uh-huh.
I would have to say worried is
Okay.
probably number 1 on my list. I live worried, and it's interesting that you're
number 2.
Number 2, afraid.
Afraid. Okay. Number 3.
And trust.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
And then my next step, and I would say, okay, why do you feel worried today?
Well, I'm working on a project right now that I'm a little bit unsure of, and it's all new to me, and I, trying to make sure that I get it right.
Right. So you see how it opens up, and you start feeling comfortable. You're like, okay, I feel worried, and this is why. That's exactly how I start my sessions, and then we start talking about those emotions and why do you feel that, and just we kind of just open it. It opens up a big door. Just this little list, and just talking about these emotions, it just opens up for conversation and trust, and just because sometimes they come in the in the session, and you don't share your emotions. You're just like, how are you? Fine. We all say we're fine, right? And as long at least for me, we go to church. How are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. No, you're not. You're pretty depressed today, or something happened, or you just got in a fight with your husband. So this just goes straight to the point. What are you feeling? I'm worried. I'm afraid. I'm scared. I'm fearful. I'm shameful. So those are the type of things. So it's just an example of what
That's
we
fascinating.
do.
It's kind of like an icebreaker without being an icebreaker.
Exactly. Yeah.
And interesting. I see how that works now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I asked you already about results or outcomes that you would like to see with your clients.
Oh, continued healing. Everyone believes that if you start counseling, that's it, you're healed. I'm not healed. I am healing every time. So what I like to see, at least my goal for my clients, is continued healing, and continue to go to counseling, continue to speak out, continue to talk about your emotions, because going to a counseling for a year and then not going anymore, it just doesn't work out. That's why a lot of alcoholics, they have to continue going to the AA meeting, even though if they were clean and they have the coin that they've been clean for a year. You have to keep going. It's reassuring. It just mentally, it just keeps you a little more sane and prepared for the things that happen in your life, and you're not just going back to the same trauma, things that happen in your life. So just continued healing and continuing to seek the help. That's my goal to see, for my clients.
Now, are there situations where faith-based counseling and mentorship is ineffective and maybe more specialized treatment or methods might be required?
It is, and by law, we are supposed to report, especially, I had a client, 15-year-old, she came in, and first few sessions, very quiet, didn't want to talk, and I would, do the emotion, everything, but very, very closed. And just one day, she started talking about how she woke up and wanted to kill herself, and and then I started noticing cuts on her arms. And so those things, it's nothing that really I can do or say, hey, let me give you this pill. I'm not allowed to give any medication or prescribe medication. So with those, we had to contact, law enforcement, talk to the parent, because we do see self-harm.
A mandatory reporting.
So unfortunately, yeah, it's a very sad situation, but yes, there is higher authority who have to come in and, take over.
Now, are you willing to share an example of maybe you counseling in a group type setting, if that's something that you do?
We do, actually. It's a Christian recovery group that we would have every single Thursday, 6 p.m. at the church. And once again, it's people from the community. We have people coming in that are either addicts, and I'm talking about not just drugs, but it could be sexual addiction, it could be gambling, it could be drugs, alcohol. What's really great about this group is that we also use this recovery guide, and we talk about the emotions, and we go around in a circle, and we have 3 minutes to talk. And this is like our venting, just this happened today, my wife did this, blah blah blah, and let it out. Next person talks, and after everybody talks, then there's a section in the book that we read and we go through. And again, we go around and everybody shares again what did they take from the reading, or prayer requests and stuff like that. So it's really nice, because if you get those 3 minutes, and even though it seems like such a little bit of time to talk, it feels so good just to say it out loud, and it's a safe place to do it in. We all basically have not like a chant, but we all say it out loud, where we're like, everything that says, that we say here stays here. It's a safe place. We can vent, but we can also get support from each other. So it's really nice, because people sometimes will, the moment their minute, comes up, they start crying or they start yelling, and they're able to do it, and just, it's out. So, and the same thing with the counseling session, one-on-one, we give them that opportunity as well.
So it sounds like in order to create a safe space, you also have to honor privacy.
Yeah, because a lot of people do share some things that, it's very private, but they feel comfortable saying it there. And everybody's been respectful, and you don't hear it, on Facebook, so-and-so said this. Everyone's very private and very respectful, because they know they're just venting. And you don't want to say that out loud, from that location. So
now, why do you feel compelled to offer a Christian faith-based counseling service as opposed to a more secular clinical style of counseling or mentorship?
Based on my experience, I've done both. Secular counseling, there's no emotions. I feel like you're just talking, and it's kind of like in the movies where you see the doctor just writing notes. It's just like that. And they're just, okay, tell me more. How did that make you feel? And you're just talking. With the Christian counseling, again, from my experience, it was just more comfortable. Like, you felt the love. It was more warm. And it was so different. You can feel it in your heart, in your mind. It was just different. And it's, as a Christian, you feel the Spirit. And you just feel I can talk, and I know God's hearing me, and I know that someone here is listening to me and not just writing notes. They're giving me feedback based on their experience, what I'm going through, and I'm not alone. And with secular, they can't really talk about their life. It's more like they're just listening and notes and take these pills.
So this is a style that just happens to work for you.
Yes.
That you like to pass on to people that
Yes.
You fellowship with,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of share experiences.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
And have you ever counseled somebody that has no belief in Christianity or believes in a different religion entirety.
Definitely. And it's funny that you say that because I do have clients that, like I said before, I don't believe in God, don't mention him, nothing. Don't even say God bless you. I mean, they're upfront from the beginning. And one of them said, I'm coming to you. I know you're Christian. I saw your Facebook post or, saw you on the website, but I'm not Christian. FYI, can I still see you? I'm like, of course. Okay, well, you're going to throw Bible verses at me. I said, no, I won't even mention anything to you. Oh, okay, good. Because, I'm going through this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it's funny because after our counseling sessions, I met with them for about 6 weeks or so. They ended up coming to the church.
Wow.
Yeah, so they opened up, and like I said, it's not a way for us to get people to church, but they just saw how God changed my life, and they just opened up and they want to find out what that's like. And then now she has a relationship with Christ, and now she comes to church and she loves it. So.
And is this counseling open to everybody?
Anyone.
And how often do you have your counseling sessions? Is it like on a per need basis? Are they set hours where you're in an office setting, or in a, let's just say a church, like what would you call it, a worship center, I guess?
Yeah, and we actually do have a location in the church, and it's just like making a doctor appointment. They go into our schedule, see what day they're available and what the hour. I mean, we have an online appointment scheduler, and they're able to choose a day and time, and that's it. Set the appointment.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long do you see yourself in the role of a faith-based counselor?
For the rest of my life.
It seems like a lot of work.
It does, but I know that all of the things that I went through as a child and as an adult, with all the trauma that I went through, my story will always help someone. Whether I'm 50 years old, 60, 90, or on my deathbed, I know that my testimony of my healing and how the counseling really finally helped me, it's going to help someone else. And whether they make an appointment with me or not, I'm not a counselor just there. I mean, I could be at the DMV office sitting, and I can feel when someone's stressed, and I'm a counselor everywhere.
Now, speaking of a counselor everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
is this a role that you've done at one particular church or at several churches? Do you offer services for the churches in the area, or is it particular to the church that you attend?
I'm open everywhere. I actually have my own business on the side. I don't just do the counseling, and I do that at my office as well, to anyone.
So it seems like you keep busy.
Yeah, and I love doing it.
Wow. So what's next for you? Is it continued faith-based counseling? Are you branching off into other areas of service for your congregation and its members? And
I'm very comfortable where I am right now. I'm able to set my own hours, and I'm very inexpensive. And I don't mind sharing it, but when you go to a regular counselor, you're paying about $100 to $200 for the session. We have a donation of $40 for our sessions, and it's just 1 hour.
gotcha. It seems very reasonable for.
We help the low-income community because a lot of people will not get help. Why? Money.
Money and.
So we have a lot of traumatized people out there who don't want to spend $100 to get help and figure out what your triggers are. And now we have road rage and all kinds of things happening, but they don't have the money to get the help. And insurance sometimes doesn't really cover counseling.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
As a faith-based counselor, it sounds like you're in the business of helping people solve a lot of their life's problems, big and small.
Mm-hmm.
Who does a faith-based counselor go to when they need their problem solved?
It's funny that you asked that because the counselor, excuse me, Annalisa, actually, she's actually the wife of Robert. Annalisa and I are each other's counselor. So we actually meet on our own, and we have our venting sessions. And she'll cry, I'll cry, and it's funny because we'll even talk about the fights that we have with our husbands. And I'm like, we're just talking back and forth, and we're like, okay, I feel good, thank you, I needed that. I'm like, yes, thank you, I needed that too. And we'll be on the phone or in person or at a dinner, and we counsel each other. It's so funny. We don't pay someone to counsel. We counsel each other, and we just vent, because as a woman, we just have so many, and we're just emotional. We're just crazy sometimes. We just need to just emotionally just throw it all out, and we're able to do that with each other, and it's safe, and it's comforting because she's Christian too. And then once again, we'll pray, we'll fellowship, and then we're okay. Thank you, and it's just refreshing because it's someone who knows what we're going through, and she's married too, and I'm married. So then we also share our marital stuff, and then it's just safe, and it feels great.
Good. I want to thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot today, and it was fascinating, and I appreciate the work that you do for the people at your church and the people in the community.
Thank you.
And again, thank you for answering all my questions and being honest, transparent, and thank you.
Yeah, and let me know when you want to make an appointment.
I promise I will.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it.
Scene. Yes? We're good? 27.